and welcome to Strength and Conditioning with me. I'm Karen, and I'm putting this out there especially for my students and friends who have asked me to put together a workout that is going to be easy to do in about 20 minutes or so, and is going to incorporate some resistance, kettlebells, dumbbells, medicine balls, resistance bands, exercise balls. Lots of options, but you certainly do not need anything. Something else I've even brought along are some things from the kitchen in case you don't have weight. You can grab a couple. I have a couple of cans of black beans. They barely weigh anything at all. So you can also grab maybe 2 bottles of water. Someone suggested 2 bottles of tequila. I don't know if I would recommend doing that. You might get a little distracted. But anyway, you don't need anything at all. So just so you know that. So we're going to get started just by warming up the body and kind of getting the joints ready to move. So I'm going to start with some hip circles. So I'm going to put my hands on my hips. My feet are about hip distance apart. And I'm going to start to rotate my thigh bone in the hip socket, in and out. And I'm trying to do this without moving around in my hips a lot or my spine a lot, so that I'm really isolating that movement to the hip joint. And then you might even start to add a little bit of back. And you can always put your hand on a wall or a chair if you're feeling kind of imbalanced today. So I'm going to move to the other side, moving out and in. And it helps to visualize that you are moving the thigh bone, the top of the thigh bone, around in the hip socket joint, so we're getting that lubrication and some mobility going on there. Places where we tend to get really stuck. Shoulders too, so put your thumbs on your shoulders and make some really big circles with your elbows, and then move in the opposite direction. So again, just showing you from both directions. Something I harp on quite a bit is the position of the neck and the chin, because so many of us do this, and then we do this to look up. So making sure that the shoulders are back and that the chin is tucked in slightly so the back of the neck stays nice and long here. So we're going to do a couple of kind of half salutes, a little bit of yoga here. So take your arms up over your head. And now let's bend over to the left and just stretch through that right side. And come back up to center and bend over to the right. Come back to center. And now cactus your arms and open up your chest. Press your chest up to the ceiling. Legs are really strong here. Try not to let your hips move forward. Thigh bones back. Hips forward. Stretch up. And now bring your hands down to your thighs. We'll do a little bit of cat and cow. Cow pose, extending the spine round. And then push into your feet, come all the way up. Bring your hands down to your heart center. All right, starting with some air squats. So squatting without any weight, just getting your body ready for that movement. So from the side, we're gonna have our feet a little wider than hip distance apart, at least hip distance apart. Knees and toes pointed straight ahead. I'm gonna send my hips back into a chair and then come back up to standing. So I'm gonna inhale as I go down, I'm gonna exhale as I go up. So something I want you to look at here from the side is when we squat, sometimes we start to do this thing where we try to keep our chest lifted. Notice how here I'm putting a lot of pressure on my low back and I'm putting a lot of pressure on my neck. So I'm going to tuck my chin, I'm going to pull my belly in, and I'm going to squat that way. So from the front, something that happens a lot when we squat is the knees and toes might kind of collapse in like this. So I want you to push out just enough that your knees stay lined up over the toes, and of course my knees aren't going past my toes. Inhale going down, exhale going up. Again, this is just our warm-up. All right, so about 10 or 15 of those. Come on down, we're gonna do some push-ups. I'm going to do mine on the knees. You can do yours on the toes. Spread your fingers out really wide. What's important here is that as I'm going down and coming back up, that my shoulders stay stable on my back. So I'm not doing this where I'm letting my chest drop, and I'm not letting my belly drop first. So my shoulders are stable. I bring the torso down and up in one straight line, either from your knees to the crown of your head or from your toes to the top of your head. So I'm going to inhale going down, exhale going up. And as I exhale, I draw that navel up and in towards the spine. So everything that I do, my intention is to do about 10 or 15. Take a little stretch back. And now let's come up to our feet. And we'll do some more activation for the back muscles. So I'm going to grab my exercise band. You can do this with your weights, light weights as well. No weight at all is perfectly fine. So I'm going to do pull apart. So I'm pulling that resistance band back. So I'm squeezing my shoulder blades in towards the spine. And my arms are straight and my knees are bent. Because what happens a lot when we lock our knees is we do this. And we arch the back, right? So keep your knees bent. No other movement in your body. Try to just move your arms. And feel that those muscles in the back of your body firing up, especially between your shoulder blades. Backs of the shoulders, backs of the arms. So the other thing I kind of harp on a lot is just working on getting more strength in the back of our body. Because we tend to be weak. We don't do a lot of stuff back here, right? We do a lot of stuff in front. So we're tight in the front, we're weak in the back. So I really like to focus on the back of the body, okay? So hopefully you kept doing those pull aparts as I was talking. I will stop and talk every now and again, so feel free to keep going. All right, so let's go ahead and we're gonna now go back to our squats. This time we're gonna add weight to it if you want, okay? So I'm gonna grab my lighter weight and I'm gonna do goblet squats. So that means I'm just holding this weight here. I'm not holding it out here. I'm not shrugging my shoulders. I'm pulling it into my chest, holding it nice and stable against my body. And then again, I'll inhale going down, exhale going up. Inhale, exhale. Weight goes back into the heels. So as I'm exhaling, I'm really focusing on engaging my core. Okay, and that's not just your belly. It's like a corset that surrounds your hips and your spine and your shoulders. Inhale, exhale. Good. I'm terrible at counting because I talk so much. So we'll do 4, 3, watch those knees, 2, 1, and go ahead and place that weight down. Make sure that you're breathing. Your breath is really, really, really important here. Drink water as you need to. I have my bottle of water over there. Okay, so we're going to do some renegade rows. So that means we're in a push-up position, and I'm going to do it with a resistance band. Something else you can do, you can do these with kettlebells if you've got really strong wrists. You can also do them with dumbbells, with your hands holding on to the middle part. And make sure that your wrists are straight. And I'm just going to row from side to side. So I'm holding a plank, and I'm rowing with that arm. Pull the shoulder back. And I'm, of course, using my core muscles here to keep everything else nice and stable. Exhale, pull. Remember, back body strength here. Back of the shoulder, back of the arm, upper back, middle back. Try to keep the back of the neck long so we're not lifting the head up. We're also not letting the head just drop. Neck in line with the rest of the spine. 4 more. 3, 2, 1, and come up. You can always do less than me repetition-wise. If you start to feel your body falling apart, you're getting really, really tired, then stop. Stop sooner than I do. So, okay. Deadlift. Woo! Deadlifts are my favorite. And basically a deadlift is the opposite sort of a squat. So in a squat, we're starting standing and we're sitting down. In a deadlift, we start sitting down and then we stand up. So the idea that in a squat, we're using our quads to lower. And in a deadlift, we're using our hamstrings to come up. So hamstrings and glutes. So a traditional deadlift is going to look like this. And typically you want to use a little more weight. So knees and toes pointed straight ahead, feet hip distance apart. So this is really important. This is your starting position. I'm going to show you from the front. I'm going to show you from the side. So what I see a lot is either this, where you're overarched and your head is lifted, or I see people doing this where your spine is almost rounded. This is terrible for your back to try and pick something up this way, right? So bend your knees, sit back in your chair, lift your chest up just a little bit, not a ton so much that's going to put pressure on your back. Keep your belly pulled up and in against your spine, and then exhale, lock your shoulder blades in, stand up. Inhale, exhale, stand up. Keep going. Watch those knees. So if you were in a gym setting, you probably slam that weight down. I don't want to ruin my floor. You might be able to do that where you are. Sometimes I'll put it down, let go for a second, exhale, and grab it, brace the spine, stand up. So my shoulders are stable. I'm not letting the weight pull me down, shoulders back. Exhale, inhale down, exhale up. Keep going. Working those hamstrings and glutes. Little squeeze of the glutes as you come up. Not too tight though. Let's do 3 more. 3, 2, 1. Set it down. Stand up. All right. Now, I'm going to pull out my exercise ball. And we're going to do some chest flies. And you can do this with your band, or you can do this with your bottles of water, or whatever you've got. So you can do this with kettlebells and dumbbells as well. So the motion is here. So I'm bringing my arms wide and back together. And from the front, it looks like this. So not rounding. Remember, shoulders back and down, shoulders stable. Basically just my arms are moving. Okay, now something I like to add on to this is a little crunch, just to get a little extra core work. Now, very careful if you're using a band, is to bring the band under your arms so it doesn't fly back up. And to keep your chin tucked, I'm going to make this a little bit harder by walking back. And I'll lower down with control. Exhale, crunch up. Exhale, inhale, going down. Remember, spine nice and long. Shoulders back, your chest stays open the whole time. Exhale, sit up. A little close to the window here. Not a lot of space these days. If you're doing these at home, you might be working in a tiny, tiny little space. I had one of my students took my yoga class the other day, and she was staying in a tiny home. And she was in this teeny tiny little space. But I think she made it work. All right, let's do 2 more. Woo! Feel that in my belly for sure. Okay. What do we got going next? Lunges. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple different ways to do these. Once again, you can hold weight if you want. You can hold a block between your hands. Just having that weight or that block to kind of squeeze into helps you to keep your core engaged and maintain stability in your body as you're moving. So we're going to step back, and I'm going to tap my knees slightly to the ground. Now, I'm short. I'm 5'2", so it's a little easier for me to get that low. You might not get quite as low, but I do want you to aim for dropping your back knee straight down and then pushing off from your front heel as you come up. So I'm going to drop my right knee, push off my left heel. Drop my left knee, push off my right heel. Okay? Also, losing it a little bit, is to make sure that your front knee is not going forward past your toe like this. Okay, so get back. That's why you want to drop that back knee down. Exhale coming up, inhale going down. Let's do 4 more. Part of why I wanted to start doing this is to motivate myself. I've been terrible about lifting weights, and I'm feeling it. Okay, so I'm gonna grab some water, do what you need to do, and we're gonna grab either a band or a kettlebell or dumbbell. And what we're going to do is a row. So a single arm row is going to look like this. So again, this would be the movement without any weight or holding a soup can or holding weight, okay? So I'm going to start with my right foot forward, my left leg back. Now when you're doing this, you're not going like this. You're staying down. If anything, maybe you're rotating just a little bit, but I'm really trying to work on that upper back, back of the shoulder. So if you're using a band, you can put a band underneath your foot and pull. Now I'm doing a little rotation with my arm, but I don't know if you can see that. So knuckles forward, knuckles back, knuckles forward, knuckles back. I'm feeling that right leg. 4, 3, 2, 1, set that down. I like to start with my weaker side first, just because I know I'm going to get tired. Let's do that on the other side. So left foot forward, right foot back, and row. So think, isolate. I'm just moving my arm here. My shoulder blade is moving away from the spine, towards the spine. Exhale. Exhale. Back the neck is long, hips are stable, spine is stable. Keep going. 4, 3, 2, 1. And so again, I'm not counting, I'm not even counting for myself, so I'm kind of going off of feel. And you should certainly count if you're concerned about that. somewhere around 10 to 15 repetitions again of everything that we're doing. Okay, one of my favorites, and many people's favorites, is a single leg Romanian deadlift. So we did these deadlifts before. A straight leg deadlift looks like this, which we're not going to do today. We're going to do a single leg. So a single leg Romanian deadlift would look something like this. You can even go back and tap, back and tap. And so I like to keep my hands on my hips just to make sure I'm not moving my hips all around. So my hips will just tilt forward and come back up. You can always put your hands on a wall or something if you're feeling really unstable. And something I'm going to add on to this is heavy. I normally wouldn't use this much weight, but I'll at least do a few repetitions of a single leg Romanian deadlift with an overhead press. So I'm going to stand on my right foot. I'm going to put weight in my left hand. Now, go ahead and begin. And if you're not going to do the overhead press, that's fine as well. This is a nice option, is to hold that weight, keep that left shoulder back, and we're going to inhale going down and exhale coming up. So the intention again here is to work that right hamstring and glute. Ooh. Stable, stable. I'd rather you have no weight. And I'm going to add that overhead press now. Whew, going up, straight up overhead. So it's kind of like a warrior three, going back into that warrior three, and then coming back up. Oh man, I'm feeling these. Let's do 2 more. Last one. Okay. Oh man. Okay. So left leg. So we're going to go right leg back. And you can start that overhead press right away. I'm not going to start mine right away. Just checking the time. We're at 22 minutes. Doing good. Ready? Go. So weight is in the right hand. Maybe even just do a bicep curl at the top. Or just hold that weight by your side. Push into the left heel coming up. Oh man, this is my weak side. I started on the other side because I was intending to do my overhead presses right away. And that left shoulder is weak. That's why I waited so long to do them. So really be mindful and be kind to yourself. If you've got injuries, I've got an injured left hip just from overuse, overstretching, I believe. So I'm just going to tap that foot. My right arm's a little stronger for those overhead presses. Oh, but not anymore. All right. Holy moly. I need a little lighter weight for that. Okay, so we're getting close. We're going to do one more back exercise, followed by basically some core work to finish up, okay? So again, we're at 24 minutes here. My guess is we'll go to about 30. Okay, so here, I'm not going to grab anything, but you can grab your lighter weight for this. And normally I would put my feet up against a wall to help balance me a little bit better, but we'll see how I do here in the middle. So my hips are on the ball. My feet are out wide. I'm going to bring maybe weight or no weight in and then out away from the middle line of the body, working your back strength. Squeeze. It's hard to do without your feet on something. I guess I could put my kettlebells back there. Show you from the front. Keep going. so much easier to get more range of motion. Squeeze, squeeze. 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, relax for a second. Okay, now I'm going to do some pike ups or some jackknives, knee tucks. I'm going to show you both. If you don't have an exercise ball to do this with, go grab something like, if you're on hardwood, you can use washcloths. If you're on carpet, you can use plastic or paper plates. So I'll just show you what that would look like if I'm using the plates first. I'm going to do mine on the ball. So it would look something like this. So this is a pike up, this is a jackknife. Pike up, jackknife. So as I'm moving, once again, very important is that my shoulders are stable, okay? So, start way back here. And, woo! I have to knock my water bottle over every single time. Okay. It's just part of what I do. Okay. So, broad through the upper back. Stable shoulders. Hike up, like I'm going up into a handstand. And then jackknife or knee tuck. Hike up. So you can alternate like this. Or, probably a little bit easier are the knee tucks. Or a lot easier. So you can just stick with those or stick with your pike ups if you're going a little more intensity today. Lots of stability. All right. Ha, sweating. Okay, couple more things. Lie down on your back, and we're gonna put, this will be a nice counterbalance exercise to your pike ups, because we're working a lot of front body, hip flexors and such. Now let's work the other side, so we'll work glutes and hamstrings. So your arms can be done by your side, overhead if you want to make it a little bit harder. So I'm going to dig my heels down into the ball and just stabilize here. This might be where you stay. Just work on stabilizing, or you can go out and in with your heels. Now, I'm not dropping my hips. I'm basically keeping my hips totally steady the whole time, so that again, I am isolating my hamstrings and my glutes. I always hated this one. It burns. Keep breathing. Try not to tense up. So easy to tense up and create more stress in your body when you're lifting weight. Don't go to that point. Okay, bring those hips down. Okay, let's finish with some Passovers. So grab the block between your feet. This is one of my favorites. And I'm basically just passing the ball back and forth. So you can, if you don't have a ball, no big deal. You just touch your toes and lower. Or touch your knees and lower. So only go as low as you can stabilize your spine, so that I'm not going to the point where my back's going to start to lift up away from the floor. Legs are really strong, so when the ball's not between your feet, you are hugging your thighs together. So this way I can keep my neck nice and relaxed as I work my core. All right. And that's it. Okay. So, if you want to stick around, I'll just do a couple of basic stretches, maybe for another minute or two. Leg up, rotate the foot. Take a half happy baby pose, so bend your knee towards your shoulder. And then left knee hugs in, extend your left leg long, rotate. Move that foot around. Half happy baby. And let's rock up. And come forward. Do a little cow pose. And a little cat. And come back to a downward facing dog. Lift your right leg up and open up your hip. And then bring your leg through for a pigeon pose. Extend your left leg straight back so the way this looks from the front. Again, not a lot of space here in this home of mine. This living room converted. So you can always do this. If this doesn't work for your knees, you can always do this instead on your back. And then we'll go back to down dog. So if you're on your back, just switch. Extend your left leg back, open up your hip. And then come through for your pigeon. You always put a block underneath your hip, left hip. You can stay up, you can bring your forearms down. Go back to downward facing dog. Come forward to a plank and lower all the way down onto your belly. And let's stretch the chest. So I'm going to take my right arm, I know it's not totally in the picture, but straight out from the middle of my chest, bend your left knee and roll your body towards your right arm. So you're getting a nice stretch through that right shoulder, the chest. I like to take my other arm and just kind of move it around a little bit, reach back. And then roll onto your belly and do that on the other side. Roll onto your belly and come up onto your forearms. It's a little Sphinx pose here to set us up for a quad stretch. So bend your right knee, reach back, find your foot, and then bring your right hip, it's probably lifted, bring the hip back down and bring your foot in towards your glute. Look forward, chest forward. Think about pulling your belly up and in. You tuck your tail just a little bit to get that stretch through the hip flexor and the hamstring, or in the quadricep, the front of the thigh. Where most of us are typically tight. Again, tight here, weak back here. Mostly. And left side. Anything else you feel like doing, go ahead and do it now. Otherwise, thank you for joining me. We're at 34 minutes. I talked a lot, so it could probably be a little quicker than that. Let me know how you like the video. If you want more, I think I might start doing this maybe once a week or every other week on Zoom at a certain time so we can do it live. And yeah, thank you so much. I hope you feel great and strong, and I will see you soon. Namaste.